My mother never, ever intentionally imposed physical or emotional harm on another person, but I want to tell you about a situation that caused her to feel overwhelmed with guilt. In the 5 years following Quentin's first stroke, his prostate cancer spread. He had a heart attack and a few more minor strokes. He wasn't sleeping well, and he often got disoriented and confused about how and where to use the bathroom. He would sit up on the side of the bed, pull down his Depends, and then he would let her rip, and he would wet himself, the bed, and the carpet. And the night before their 56th wedding anniversary, he had done that 3 times. Madelyn had changed his Depends, got him into dry pajamas, stripped and remade the bed 3 times. And when she woke up the next morning, she was exhausted, physically, mentally, and emotionally. She knew that there was going to be a very special service at church that Sunday. There were going to be former members and ministers, there would be special music, and she was fairly certain that there would be a cake for she and Quentin after the service. But she simply did not have the energy to get him ready. So she showered and got herself dressed. She fed him breakfast, got him into a chair out in the front yard in the sunshine, and as she backed out of the driveway, she waved goodbye to him, and he lifted his chin up half-heartedly and waved back to her. By the time she got to the end of the driveway, she was feeling guilty. She drove the 6 miles into town, and when she parked in front of the church, she was beating herself up. She was thinking, I could have gotten some of the big guys, the younger guys, to come out and help. They would have gotten Quentin out of the car. They would have helped get him up the steps and into the church. They would have put him on the lift and helped me get him into the sanctuary. And after the service, they would have helped me get him back down to the basement for refreshments and for the coffee hour. And she was feeling extremely fragile and terribly guilty. And then during the service, the minister read this poem. The title is Look at Me, and the author is unknown. I've been told that it was found in a woman's nursing home room when her family went to clear out her things a few days after she died. So this is the poem that the minister read that morning. Look at me. What do you see, nurses? What do you see? What are you thinking when you're looking at me? A crabby old woman, not very wise, uncertain of habit with faraway eyes, who dribbles her food and makes no reply when you say in a loud voice, oh, I do wish you'd try, who seems not to notice the things that you do and is forever losing a stocking or shoe, who, resisting or not, lets you do as you will, with bathing and feeding the long day to fill. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you see? Then open your eyes, nurse. You're not looking at me. I'll tell you who I am as I sit here so still, as I use at your bidding, as I eat at your will. I'm a small child of 10 with a father and mother, brothers and sisters who love one another. A young girl of 16 with wings on her feet, dreaming that soon a lover she'll meet. A bride soon at 20, oh, my heart gives a leap, remembering the vows that I promised to keep. At 25 now, I have young of my own who need me to guide and secure a happy home. A woman of 30, my young now grown fast, bound to each other with ties that should last. At 40, my young sons have grown and are gone, but my man's beside me to see I don't mourn. At 50, once more babies play around my knee. Again we know children, my loved one and me. Dark days are upon me. My husband is dead. I look at the future. I shudder with dread. For my young are all rearing young of their own, and I think of the years and the love that I've known. I'm now an old woman, and nature is cruel. 'Tis just to make old age look like a fool. The body it crumbles, grace and vigor depart. There's now a stone where I once had a heart. But inside this old carcass, a young girl still dwells, and now and again my battered heart swells. And I remember the joys, I remember the pain, and I'm loving and living life all over again. I think of the years, all too few, gone too fast, and accept the stark fact that nothing can last. So open your eyes, nurses, open and see, not a crabby old woman. Look closer. See me. Well, as you can imagine, Madelyn was feeling so sad and so guilty, and she was so fragile, and it took all of her might to hold back her tears. As soon as the service was over, she rushed down to the basement and she went up to Charles Prather, the beloved baritone of the Congregational Church, and she got right up in his face and she said, "Charles, don't you dare sing Happy Anniversary to me today." And he said, "But Madelyn, I've already been told by 2 people to do it." And she said, "If you do, I will lose it, and I will never get it back." So he didn't. She left the church, got in her car, and cried all the way home. And she got Quentin into the kitchen table and sat him down, and then she started to tell him how guilty she felt. And she cried, and she cried, and she cried. And he said, "I feel like crying too," but he didn't. And that surprised me, and it took me so long to figure this out because, as with most stroke survivors, my dad had a hair-trigger emotional switch. If he was watching a commercial that had any kind of emotion to it, he would cry. And if he was listening to one of his talking books and one of the characters was going to get in some kind of trouble, get hurt, or get killed, he would sob. He would just beller. But here is my mother, the woman that he has loved for more than 50 years, crying her eyes out, and he says, "I feel like crying too," but he didn't. And it took me a long time. But one day, it finally hit me. Of course he didn't cry. And you know why? Because he knew if Madelyn felt that guilty, if she felt that badly about leaving him at home alone, she wasn't going to do it anymore. She was either going to take him with her or she was going to stay there with him. Either way, he was not going to have to stay at home by himself anymore. So, who do you think the guilt tripper was in this case? Do you think it was Madelyn? Was she tripping herself? Or do you think it was Quentin? Well, was he intentionally guilt-tripping her? Well, to be quite honest with you, I think it was both. My dad was not the kind of man who would get angry, rage, or yell to make my mother or any of us kids do what he wanted to do, what he wanted us to do. But he could just get so sad, and he would drop his chin down to his chest, and he wouldn't want to eat or drink or do anything because he was just so sad. And my mother couldn't stand for him to be sad, so she would jump through hoops and do just about anything he wanted to cheer him up. Now, I believe my parents had a very, very happy marriage. They loved one another, and things always seemed to work out for both of them. But in my opinion, most of the time, I think it worked out a little bit better for Quentin than Madelyn.